Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Now, before I go to the application of Mohr-Coulomb criteria or Hook-and-Brown criteria, although I will show you only Mohr-Coulomb, there is one more criteria you should know, that is the tensile failure. This is very critical. There is a theory called Griffith's theory. It was given a long time ago, but we are not going to the detail of that Griffith theory. Long time ago. This is in 1924. He has given this theory. What he said essentially, if there is a rock sample and we are, let's say, giving tensile load, and as I told you before, rock has a lot of flaws or defects, right? There is very micro scale, sometimes meso scale also. There is no macro scale. If it is there, it will be visible. You can see. Even meso scale also you will be able to see. But there are maybe tiny defects like this. Okay, defect in the sense there is a void space because it's a naturally formed material. Even in a iron, steel, or there is also defect. Okay, they also do the similar type of analysis. So when you do this, giving a tensile load to this kind of material, what happened is I enlarged this one here. So this was like this, and let's say some tensile stress is applied. So what will happen here? Initially, some plastic zone will form here, and then gradually this will extend. So this is the theory he proposed based on the energy and all this stuff. But it's a very difficult to understand. If you can see. So this is basically the plastic zone. Plastic zone meaning that it has already failed, and then gradually the crack will extend. Now it's a very difficult to comprehend because this defect is also inside the rock sample. So theory is good, but application was very difficult. That how do I apply it when I am not able to see the defect? But finally, I think what happened is we just take a very simple criteria these days, which is also in the Griffith criteria. We say that, not we, the Griffith told, if sigma 1 plus 3 sigma 3, if it is greater than 0. So how it will be greater than 0? See how this 3 came and all these things. These were given in his theory. Okay, so I'm not getting into all this stuff. See, this one, basically in our case, it will be, this one we are considering, there is, this should be, in the book it is still written as a solid mechanics, this thing, it should be less than that. The reason is, this is basically negative. Okay, this will be mostly compression. Okay, and this one will be, oh sorry, now this one will be positive. Okay, and this one will be now negative in our rock mechanics nomenclature. So when 3 times of this is basically less than this, so this is positive, then we will assume that failure criteria is F is sigma 3. This is we are taking as a negative. Remember that this will be now negative. So I put a negative sign to make it positive. Plus sigma t is 0. Okay, remember that this value is negative. So this one will become positive and sigma t we normally consider negative. So this is negative, this value is negative, so this one become positive and this is negative. In other words, if sigma 3 is more than sigma t in an absolute value or the magnitude term, then we will assume this is the tensile failure. That means you have a stress tensor, you calculate the sigma 3. If that sigma 3, the magnitude is more than the tensile strength of that rock, then we will call it a tensile failure. It's a very simple criteria. Okay. Now the condition is this, due to Griffith. So in other words, we mostly in the roof of an underground opening or a beam, they shows basically the tensile failure. So this is the thing what you have to know about the tensile failure. If the sigma 3, that is the minor principal stress, if it is its magnitude is more than the tensile strength of the rock, then there will be a tensile failure. And rock is very weak in tension. You remember that. Sigma T is very less. So basically, in an underground situation, we first see failure due to tension. This happen in the roof. I can draw it for you. See, if there is a coal pillar here, I think Professor Verma may have done. And if this is a piece of roof over there, this is coal, and this is the gallery. Gallery in the sense, people are walking here. Okay. Now this is the gallery. This is the gallery and this is the rock. So this becomes like a simply supported beam you have done in your first year. Okay, this is like a simply supported beam, this one. And on top of that, there may be a load varying like this. Okay, something like this, a load is varying. Okay, now under this load, you can understand there will be a tension crack here. Okay, so this is coming from the overburden layer. On top of that, whatever the layer. So this is applying on this. Plus, it has its own weight W. Its own weight is there, and it is basically simply supported on this coal pillar. We can assume that. Okay, and you have done the beam theory. We can apply whether it will be a tensile failure or not. And you know here the sigma t. I think if you remember mc over I. Do you remember that formula? The moment into C is the from the neutral axis to the boundary, and I is the moment of inertia. So this is your stress. If it is more than the strength, then it will fail. This is basically will become our sigma 3. Okay. Now this happens as a tensile mode in an underground opening. This is the opening. Okay. Now where is the shear failure? Shear failure will be here. You can see the stress concentration will be here. This is where is the stress concentration. So the Mohr Coulomb or Hooke and Brown will be applied here, and tensile strength will be here. So this is the tensile criteria. This is the shear criteria. Okay. This is how it works in underground condition. Both of them are working together. So we have to consider both. And sometimes this floor also get heaped like this. Floor also got this, and then floor also get fractured. Okay. So in a way, your roof is coming down like that, and floor is going up also. Okay. This is called floor heaving, and this is the sagging of the roof. This roof comes down like that. Okay. So these are the where we normally apply for this failure criteria to understand whether rock will be fail or not fail. If it fail, we have to do something. We have to give PI, and we have to know how much PI is required and what type of support will give that much of PI. PI meaning that support pressure, internal pressure. Okay. Now I show you an example. The example using the Karsh solution. You already know stresses around underground opening due to underground circular opening due to P naught and Kp naught. Now, in this analysis, we will also assume this is P naught, because otherwise this analysis cannot be done. So K equals to 1. Okay, this is the scenario. Now, if you remember, if K equals to 1, then what happened to tau r theta? Can anybody tell me? What happened to tau r theta if K equals to 1?
Side 0.
0.
It is 0. So tau r theta is 0. Now, what is this stress? This is any r. So this is the radial stress, sigma rr, and this was sigma theta theta, which is tangential stress. This is basically theta, right? So now tau r theta is not there for K, right? Now, can anybody tell me what is this plane now?
Principal plane.
Right. So this become a principal plane. Okay. So if this is a principal plane, I can now say sigma theta theta is nothing but my sigma 1 and sigma rr is my sigma 3. Okay, that's the minor one, and sigma theta theta is the major one. Okay, so this right now we are in a principal plane. Now, if we are in a principal plane where tau r theta is 0, you look back the equation of the book. I'm just moving it this side. Equation number 4.70. You do not have to see right now. This is the equation and chapter 4 in the stress analysis chapter. I'm going to reproduce so that I'm writing it for you so that you can look at in your after the class is over. See, there is a equation of stress equilibrium equation. You know, if you remember, for Cartesian coordinate system, I gave you del sigma xx by del x, if you remember that, del tau xy by del y plus bx is 0. You remember that formula I gave you? Then del tau xy by del x plus del sigma yy by del y plus by is 0. This was in the Cartesian coordinate system, right? Now, if this one we convert into polar coordinate system, because this is now we are using polar coordinate system, and that is in the equation 4.70. That was not taught to you earlier. So let me just write the equation for you. Just one equation is good enough. Sorry. Del sigma RR, del R plus sigma RR minus sigma theta theta by R plus 1 by R del tau R theta by del theta plus BR is 0. Now the next equation I am not writing because those everything will be 0. So next equation we do not need. Now what is there is this is sigma R sigma theta theta is same, and BR is something like if there is a radial direction body force component, okay, then that is the BR. So in this case we are ignoring this 0. Tau R theta you already said 0. So it comes down to only this equation, okay, which is equals to 0. Okay. So if we can say this is a principal plane, that's why we have taken k equals to 1. If this is a principal plane, then we find the equation that del sigma RR by del R plus this is 0. Now since there is no other differentiation, we can conveniently change these to, D. Okay, because there is no reason for partial derivative anymore. Okay, so this, and I delete all this. So basically this equals to 0. So this is what it comes. So this is my governing equation for k equals to 1. Okay, so d sigma R by dr plus sigma R minus sigma theta theta by R equals to 0. Okay. Now I come down to the failure mode around this circle. I'll show you this. Now how it will fail. Let me delete little bit this side. Let's now assume, because this equation now theta independent, you can see there is no theta here. It is completely theta independent. So that means everywhere failure will be same. So I can say whatever may be the radius, this entire zone will be fractured, depending on the rock property. Definitely, this is the area or the region where it will fail, and this will be another circle because it's a theta independent. Okay. Now let's assume this is my radius A, and this is a radius we normally denoted by RE. Now this zone we will call failed zone or plastic zone, and this one is elastic zone. This part means this area is elastic and this area is plastic where it has failed. Okay, and this RE is called the radius of this elastoplastic boundary. So RE is nothing but radius of elastic plastic boundary. Okay, this is what is the RE. So it is clear. Now, if this is the case, I have to now find out for a given material property for a given material property, do I know what will be this radius RE? So how much area or how much zone it will be, it will have a plastic zone, so that we have to take care of it. And to reduce that, what type of PI I have to apply? So let's say there is an internal pressure also I am applying. Now, even if due to this internal pressure, the RE will be formed, where RE is more than A. But what will be that PI at which I can stop this failure process? So this is what we are trying to find that out. Then if I know that pressure PI, then I can decide what kind of support I require to stop this process. Okay. Finally, PI will be given in terms of support, either by steel arches or by concreting or by shotcreting, by roof bolt. There is many different options we have. Okay. Now, whether we have to use combination or together, or only one is good enough, maybe only concreting is good enough. But before that, we have to understand how far will be this zone. And that is what now I am going to show you. And this is the governing equation. Okay. Now, in this plastic zone, we will consider that sigma theta theta will be something like, I'm just writing first, then I will explain, certain NF into sigma R. Now, this sigma CF is called the strength of the fractured rock. Strength of this fractured rock. Right here, this is the fractured rock. This is the fractured rock. Now, what is the strength of it? Now, can anybody tell me then what is this equation I have written here? From where I have written this equation?
It is sigma UCS plus N phi.
Yes. So this is basically Mohr Coulomb. So I am using MC criteria in fractured zone or in the plastic zone. I am saying the maximum value of this sigma theta theta is now given by this. Okay. Sigma theta theta cannot exceed more than this. That is what I showed you before also. It is not here. That for a given sigma 3, this is the maximum value of sigma 1. This is what I am writing. For a given sigma RR, this is the maximum value it can go. It cannot go this zone. Mohr Coulomb will not allow us to go in this area. Okay, this is the maximum value. So in the plastic zone, the maximum sigma theta theta we can expect through this equation. Okay. Now sigma C, we have to write it like this. Sigma CF is 2CF cos phi F. The F is subscript F is nothing but to make you understand that it is a failure rock we are talking about. 1 minus sin phi F. Okay, it is the same formula. Okay, we are using, and NF is same as 1 plus sin phi F divided by 1 minus sin phi. Okay, it remains the same. Only the subscript F is denoting the fractured rock. Okay, this is denoting fractured rock. Okay, so this is where is the restriction here, where CF is the cohesion, phi F is the angle of internal friction of the fractured rock. That is what we are talking about. Okay. Now, So these are basically material property need to be known. Now I work with this equation. Okay. I will now put sigma theta theta here. Okay, and I rearrange. Now, if I put sigma theta theta over there, and if I rearrange, what do I get? D sigma RR by dr is equals to sigma RR minus sigma CF. Sorry, this will be negative of this and plus this, plus NF sigma RR by R. I have taken it in the other side, in the right hand side. So it will be like this. Or in other word, I can write sigma RR if I take common 1 NF minus 1 plus sigma CF by R. Okay. So now it become very easy for me to solve this. And if I now use something like X is equals to sigma RR NF minus 1 plus sigma CF, okay, then I can write dx is equals to NF minus d sigma RR. I can write that. Okay. So this equation now become, I can write dx by x into 1 by NF minus 1. If I am wrong, please correct me. dr by R. Okay. This equation becomes this. Is it correct? d sigma RR we are replacing by dx by this. Now I am going to take the integration. So let me take it a little bit this side. Now I am going to integrate, and I delete this part. This integration. Now you have to remember this. We have this pi here, and this is a. Okay, radius is a. So at a, what will be the value? If r equals to a, what is the value of this? We have to put sigma RR as pi, right? So this will be pi NF minus 1 plus sigma CF. And in this case, because my plastic zone is up to RE, and here I do not know what is the stress. So I assume as sigma RE, something like that, NF minus 1 plus sigma CF. So this is the boundary of the integration. Now what is sigma RE? Let me show you here. Right here, we are assuming sigma RE. Basically, this is where right here in this boundary, the radial stress is sigma RE. This is what we are assuming. So we do not know RE, we do not know sigma RE in this equation. Whatever the equation I have written here, I do not know RE. This I do not know RE, and I also do not know this. These two are unknown. But I can find the equation. Okay, and if you solve this equation, you will find, which I write below, you will find sigma RE is equals to CF quad phi F plus PI. You can try it at your home to derive that. NF minus 1 minus CF quad phi. You have to just break the sigma CF into CF and phi F. Okay. So we get a relationship, but we still do not know the value. We get a relationship that sigma RE, and with the RE, what is the relationship? Now this, as I am telling you, the radial stress at the elastoplastic boundary, and this is the radius of that elastoplastic boundary. We got a relationship between these two, but we do not know the value. If somebody can give me RE, I can find sigma RE. Okay, because rest of the thing is known to me. PI is applied, so I know. CF and phi F is the material property, I know. A is the radius of the tunnel, that is also I know. Okay, so still it is not complete. Now I have to find out sigma RE somehow. Okay, so now let me again go back to this. Tunnel, whatever I showed. Now you see, this is a transition zone, right? This zone here is the transition zone from plastic to elastic. Okay, from plastic to elastic. So this is a transition zone. Now, if I see what could be the sigma RE value and sigma theta value here, what is the relationship? If I consider this is a elastic from the elastic side. So if I can find that out. So now what is happening is, this is my RE. I'm taking the bigger one. So now my internal pressure is sigma RE, because that is what I have assumed. This will be sigma RE. Okay, and this is now elastic zone. So can I apply Kerr solution? Yes, I can. So right at the boundary, if I want to find what will be the sigma theta value. So you know this 1 plus RE square by R square minus sigma RE square by R square. If you do the Kerr solution, applying sigma RE as your PI, I showed you with the internal pressure what is the Kerr solution. If you apply there, so you will get an equation something like this. Okay, sigma theta equation. So right at the boundary, that means at when R equals to RE, we will get 2 P naught, and this is minus sigma RE. So right here, if I now change it to theta E, so sigma theta E and sigma RE has a relationship, and this relationship is this. And you can see this is everywhere same because it's a theta independent. Everywhere this relationship holds. So the tangential stress and the radial stress, at this there is a relationship. Okay, this is, I am coming from the elastic side, there is a relationship. Now I see from the plastic side. Now plastic side is, this was my tunnel, so that was my A. Now plastic side is here. So from here, if I see what will be the value of sigma theta E from plastic side, this is already given by our the Moore Coulomb fellow, he has already given us. So I can apply that very well. So I can write sigma theta from plastic side is nothing but sigma CR. I will tell you what is sigma CR. NR sigma RE. Now, when I am going from there, this is my fractured rock F, and this is rock. Okay, this side is rock and this is fractured. So right at the boundary, I am meeting the rock. So that's why these are. That's why these are. Because I am trying to calculate right at the rock in that boundary, coming from plastic side. From elastic side, this is the relation. From plastic side, this is the relation. So now I can equate this together very well. 2 P naught minus sigma RE. So I find the equation of sigma RE, and let me write it very carefully so that this is a very important stress. This sigma RE is equals to 2 P naught minus sigma CR by 1 plus NR. This is a very important equation, and we call it basically the critical stress. You will know later on, may not be in this class, but later on when you do further rock mechanics, that our entire support systems basically depend on this, finding out this critical stress. For k equals to 1, it is very easy. We find out through the equations. But if k equals to anything other than 1, we cannot find out so easily. Okay, so we have to use some numerical analysis or something to find that out. Okay, so sigma RE, which is basically the radial stress at the elastoplastic boundary, can be known as, or can be found out as 2 P naught minus sigma CR. Now you see this sigma CR is the uniaxial compressive strength of rock. Uniaxial compressive strength of rock. NR is 1 plus sine phi r by 1 minus sine phi r. Okay. So, and this R means of the rock. Okay, what we test in the laboratory of that. And if the same rock is continuing or the exist in the field also, so we can directly use that value. P naught is the applied stress, or the in situ stress, and sigma CR 2 CR cos phi r by 1 minus sine phi. So everything is known in the right hand side. So if we know the material property, that means CR and phi r, then we will be able to know sigma theta, sigma RE. Okay, what is the critical stress, okay, of that zone. Now, since I already know the critical stress here sigma RE, now the equation I have given you before, in this equation I can put it over there, and then I can calculate the RE. So I can replace this by this equation. By this equation I can put it there and then solve for RE. And this is a little big equation. Let me write it down for you. So RE is equals to A 2 P naught minus sigma CR plus CF cot phi F 1 plus NR divided by Pi plus CF cot phi F 1 plus nr. This entire thing to the power 1 by nf minus 1. Okay, so this become your elastoplastic radius. Okay, this become your elastoplastic radius. So once we know the elastoplastic radius, I will show you what we can know. We can know many things, but this is the fundamental equation. Okay, now you can see the significance of this equation. Okay, it is just not an equation, it is more than that. See, first of all, Pi is sitting right in the denominator. Okay, so Pi is sitting in the denominator, meaning if you increase Pi, that means the support pressure, what happened to Re? It reduces, right? So as I am increasing the support pressure, I can reduce Re. Now if I reduce Re, means my plastic zone reduces. Okay, this is my tunnel and this is Re. So if I increase the support pressure here, I can reduce Re. That is what it is saying. Now you will see here, if this Pi value, if this Pi value is exactly this, if Pi equals to this, Re become A. This is not A naught, it's just A. That radius. See, you can replace this over there and you will see Re will become A. That means, that's why it is called critical pressure. If we can match the Pi, if we can match Pi to this, then there will be no plastic zone. That means there will be no failure around the tunnel. Okay, but this stress will be very high. Okay, it is not so small stress. But it tells us a very important thing, that if somebody can match Pi with this value, then there will be no failure zone. So the entire tunnel will be safe. There is no problem whatsoever. Okay, that's why in a very extreme cases we do concrete. Concreting gives lot of support pressure. 4, 5, 6 megapascal, sometimes up to 8 or 9 megapascal also, which is more than enough to hold the entire rope. Okay, so this is a very important pressure, this critical pressure. Now the question is, once I know the Re, do I know the stresses around here? Do I know what is sigma RR and sigma theta theta in this zone? The question is yes. Now I can use very simply that sigma RR in the plastic zone will be CF cot phi F plus Pi into R by A to the power NF minus 1 minus CF cot phi F, and sigma theta theta in the plastic zone will be sigma CF plus NF sigma RR. This is the same sigma RR. Okay, this equation is valid if R is less than Re. Okay, this equation is valid there. These stresses, and if R exceeds Re, then it is the elastic zone, And in the elastic zone, this will be like your similar to Carr solution. What I showed you also in the above, it is the same thing. Like this equation for sigma theta e. Similarly, sigma re also you can write. Okay. So this will come from the Carr solution because it's elastic. Carr solution with sigma re is the support pressure, and radius will be re. Okay. So I will stop right here because this is what the application of Mohr Coulomb in finding out this the stresses in the plastic zone as well as in the elastic zone, and elastoplastic radius Re, and how it is related with the internal pressure, like this, how it is related with internal pressure. So these are all important stuff. One more thing before we stop here. I think you check the, and I will also ask the tutor, your TS, to solve the example 9.9 in your class, 9.9 or 9.10. Okay, this gives you the example of whatever I told so far. There is a you can solve that example. Now, lastly, the last point is in this topic. Now that we know what is Re, elastoplastic radius, for a given Pi, let's say, we have given some Pi here, and for this Pi, we got this Re. Now let's assume this has broken here. This is a broken piece, and somebody is standing here. Okay. Now the question is whether this piece is going to fall on him. Okay. Because it's a plastic zone we are talking about. What is the condition that it will not fall on? Okay. You remember that I told you that when we have derived the Carr solution, or when Carr derived his solutions, he has not considered the gravity. Now here we have to consider it. See, this piece, if we can find out the volume, so its volume will be, let's say, something like this. Its volume. Let's assume in this axis direction, this is also 1 meter, and in circumferential also 1 meter. So if both the direction it is 1 meter, then I can write its weight will be Re minus A into some gamma rock, right? And multiply by 1 meter into 1 meter. Okay, that I am taking it out. Okay, so this is his weight, W. If it is completely, disengaged from the other surrounding, means it is now ready to fall, then it is this. So sometimes we also multiply with a factor called C, which goes from 0 to 1. That means it's fully not disengaged. So maybe it's 0.5 or 0.6, something like that. It is not ready to fall. But if it is ready to fall, then we will consider it 1. Now this is his weight. Now the total pressure that means required is the Pi which we have already applied, plus this W, its weight. Now you see this Pi we have already considered in the equation. Like when we have derived this equation, we have already considered. But this W we have never considered. So actually the total pressure required to support the fractured zone is Pi plus W. We have to consider its weight because the gravity was never considered in Cart's solution. Now we are considering it. Okay. So the PT is the total pressure is this plus this. Now, how does the graph will look like between PT and PI? I'm not sure whether anybody will be able to tell, but this one will come something like this. Now let me tell you why. See, when the PI is very low, then you go in this equation, PI is very low, RE will be high. So if RE is high, so this one will be high, so W will be high. So this area is controlled by its weight factor. Basically this RE factor. This is controlling it. And this side is controlled by mostly PI because then W will be out. Okay, if you start to increase PI, after some point of time, you will reach the critical pressure. And when you reach the critical pressure, there is no fractured zone, then PT will be PI. This will be basically zero. There will be no effect of it. So what we see is there is a minimum value, minimum PT. This is the PT min. And we look for that PI, okay, where the PT will be minimum. So then we suggest this is the minimum support pressure required considering the gravity. This is the minimum support pressure required considering the gravity also. Okay, not just the PI. Okay, so this is what we normally give it to the to the mining people, that this much support is required if you are creating an opening of circular shape. Similar thing can be done for other shape also, as I'm telling you, for other K value also, but not by equation. We have to then go to advanced numerical tools to solve this. And one more application of this, you can see the RE minus A. RE minus A. What is this? RE minus A is this. Sorry. So RE minus A is this distance. So this is where basically we put the bolt. So RE minus A tells us the minimum bolt length required. This gives us minimum bolt length required. Okay. So what is the rock bolt length? I'm sure Professor Verma is going to tell you a little bit about bolt. So this minimum bolt length required to support this, so which is RE minus A, and minimum support pressure required, which is PT min. So from this analysis, this elastoplastic analysis, using Mohr-Coulomb criteria, we can make the tunnel pretty safe. And this is how in the practice also people are doing. Okay. So this much I have to say about the application of this. And this completes your rock and rock mass failure criteria chapter. So only thing in the TA we will do some problem solving for you. Then it will be very clear. So you just go through this in the book. Okay, this will be in chapter 9. Okay, so let me stop the recording now.